Sure. And you are live.
Everybody, this is House Education, March 21st, 2025. We have another great opportunity to hear from some young people in our schools. I'm actually going to turn the MC over to Representative Brady.
Thank you. I will let our witnesses introduce themselves in a moment, but I think a good introduction comes from the way that the Senate Education Committee ended yesterday when they got the VSA testimony that we had earlier in the week about kind of timeline and proposals, and it was a bit spicier conversation in their committee if you watch them much, but the ending was a really, to me, it gave me a strong glimmer of hope about all of what we are doing and a great discussion about let's not forget all the things that are working really well and going really well in our schools and catastrophize as if schools, there are challenges in our system, there are some stability factors, but there are a million great things happening in our schools all across the state every day. And we don't get to see those because we're here, but there was some just really nice testimony and discussion about that in that committee. And so to that end, I'm thrilled that we have some students with us today who I think represent that, both just the power of student voice and what's really authentic student engagement is can look like across our state. And I think we'll talk a little bit about how they have come to that or what their roles are, but I certainly want to lift it up as another way of really great stuff happening in our schools and great stuff happening by young people who care a lot about our schools and our collective future. So we have three folks with us here today who are pretty dynamic, incredible young leaders to talk a bit about student voice, the ways that they have worked to really do that, and some hopes for us as we continue to work on big transformative legislation. Do you have an order you want to go in?
We do,
Okay.
but first I was thinking just outline what we're
Awesome,
gonna do
thank
today.
you. Okay, so
So-
you will, each one, when you first speak, if you can just introduce yourself for the record and remind us what school or district you're coming from.
Well, thank you so much for having us. My name is Cashel Higgins. I'm a legislative intern here, and you've probably seen me sitting in various chairs. I'm a student board rep for the Harwood Union Unified School District, and I'm a member of the Youth Policy Advisory Committee for the Agency of Education.
Hi, everyone. Oh, go ahead. Am I good? Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Zoe Epstein. I'm a junior at Champlain Valley Union High School, and I'm also a student rep on the school board. And we're really grateful that we have the opportunity to be here today.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Gracie Morris, and I am a board representative on the South Burlington School District School Board.
And I forgot to mention I am a junior. So we're going to start with Zoe reading a little statement that we put together, and then we're each going to be sharing why we're here and what we value and how we think really students should be involved in the decision making that will come soon. All right, Gracie. Zoe.
Okay. So we have crafted a bit of a mission statement in all the work that we are doing. So I'm going to read that to you. Students are at the heart of education, yet their voices are often left out of the decisions that shape their learning. We believe that students deserve a seat at the table, where policies, curriculum,
I'm gonna pause you for just a second. Pause for just a second. So Gracie, if you maybe mute when you're not, or you can't talk.
She is.
Oh, you are muted. Okay. Sometimes we don't have great internet often in CVSD. Sorry, we're getting just a little bit of feedback, but let's try it again.
So if you have anything maybe hitting your mic or your computer.
I'm guessing it's a connectivity issue from where you're
Yes,
coming from.
I'm guessing the same. Can you hear me any better?
We can hear you. There's a little bit of feedback.
We'll be
but
okay.
Go for it.
Okay. Do you want me to restart?
Yes.
Or keep
Yeah,
going?
sorry.
Okay. That's okay. Students are at the heart of education, yet their voices are often left out of the decisions that shape their learning. We believe that students deserve a seat at the table, where policies, curriculum, and school experiences are designed with them, not just for them. By fostering collaboration between students, educators, and administrators and decision makers, we can create an education system that is more inclusive, effective, and empowering for all. Gracie, go ahead.
Great. Now we are going to talk a little bit about the value of our experience on our board. So I will go first. As I said, my name is Gracie Morris. I serve on the South Burlington School District Board, and this is my second year serving on the school board, and I'm going to tell you a bit about why I think promoting student perspectives and the education funding process is so valuable. So the past 2 years undoubtedly have been a difficult time to be a student representative given the current fiscal crisis that we find ourselves in. For both FY25 and FY26 budgets, South Burlington had to make critical decisions regarding staffing and programming cuts. In my school, during these budget seasons, there was a feeling shared by students and staff alike of anxiety, distress, and confusion. As a student representative, my task is to bring both the voice of the student body to board meetings and to relay information from board meetings back to students. In order to do this during budget seasons, my co-representative and I presented to high school students about education funding and specific proposed school budget cuts. Afterwards, we had complex conversations with a diverse group of students about beloved classes, programs, sports teams, and extracurriculars. Then, with our knowledge of the current fiscal climate, my fellow student board rep and I made informed recommendations to our school board. Not only does having student representatives allow for school board members to make informed decisions, but our role has proven to be impactful when communicating with community members as well. Last year, our school budget failed twice before finally passing on a third vote, and one of the main differences in the third proposed budget, besides a lower tax rate, was the student support behind it. In anticipation of the vote, my co-student rep and I set up a voter registration table for students and were interviewed by local news channels to spread our message publicly. We also wrote an article for our local newspaper explaining why the budget needed to be passed and helped other students in our school to do the same. And finally, South Burlington High School students engaged in the school-wide walkout, which I believe to be one of the primary factors that allowed our budget to pass. This goes to show that students are powerful in reminding taxpayers why a quality public education matters. In a time when education funding is often talked about in terms of dollar amounts, I see it as crucial to amplify student voice at powerful tables. In some proposed education bills we've seen, school boards seem to have the potential to become hyper-politicized due to their paid positions and small size. Including student representatives on these boards would be a crucial check on power. By allowing student perspectives to be amplified at these tables, the state will ensure that major decisions by both board members and taxpayers are being made with the experience and success of students in mind.
Great, thank you. I just ask a clarifying question, a reminder. So you're all representatives on your school boards. You are not voting members, is that right? Like you're sort of full representational, but you don't actually, it just, when they vote, you're not actually able to vote.
On my school board, actually,
I don't get it.
we raise our hands and say yes or no, and then they take it into account, but it's not actually weighted.
Got it. Thank you. You're sort of like DC and Congress. All right, let's hope the internet
Cashel,
is gonna be happier in Heinsberg now. Let's see.
Yes. Cashel, do you want to go next?
In the order I think you were next.
Oh, okay. All right, so as I said, my name is Zoe Epstein, and this is my second year serving as a student representative on the Champlain Valley Union School District School Board. During my first year on the school board, I took a backseat in my role. As the youngest of 3 representatives, I wanted to listen, learn, and ensure I fully understood the complexities of school governance before contributing my own thoughts and opinions. This year, I've been determined to be more actively involved and find meaningful ways to amplify student voice. After attending our first budget information meeting in December, I was struck by the absence of student perspectives in decision-making. What stood out even more was the district's communication plan. Despite its detailed strategies for community engagement, there was no mention of student outreach. I knew something needed to change. To address this, I collaborated closely with our superintendent and communications manager, along with a small group of students. Together, we created a presentation explaining the complexities of our district's of the General Education Fund, the impact of property taxes and the common level of appraisal, and the effects of Act 60 and Act 127 on statewide education funding. We also examined the specific budget reductions facing Champlain Valley Union High School and explored how those cuts would impact student daily lives. We delivered the presentation to all 9th and 12th grade students, as well as several 10th and 11th graders. Their reactions ranged from fear and confusion to disbelief and curiosity. Witnessing those responses underscored how vital it is for students to understand the financial decisions shaping their education, and for their voices to be a part of those conversations. To capture these perspectives, we created a documentary featuring student testimonies. They shared their thoughts, reflections, and deep appreciation for our school and the education and the opportunities it provides. A common theme emerged: confusion. Many students questioned why the system was so complex. Ninth graders expressed fear that they wouldn't have the same opportunities as those before them, and upperclassmen voiced concern for future students, worried that the remarkable programs that shaped their learning would eventually disappear. Their stories highlighted the profound impact these decisions have on our school community and making it clear why student voices must be heard. When I first read the governor's original proposal and the entirety of the H.454 bill, I was shocked by the profound lack of student voice in the decision-making process. These policies would directly impact students and their educational experiences, yet the perspectives of those most affected were entirely absent. It was a stark reminder of how often young people are left out of the conversations about their own education. The changes my fellow students and I have been able to make through my platform on the school board wouldn't have been possible without the existence of the student representative role. Serving in this capacity has given me the opportunity to advocate for my peers, ensuring their concerns and insights are heard by district leaders. It is a role that's empowered me to bridge the gap between students and policymakers, something I now recognize is essential for creating meaningful and equitable change. This experience has shown me the immense value of having student voices represented at the decision-making table. Student representatives offer a firsthand perspective on how policies and budgets impact learning environments, extracurricular opportunities, and overall school culture. Without that insight, boards risk making decisions that fail to address the actual needs of students. Maintaining student representation on school boards is not just beneficial, it's essential for building an education system that genuinely serves its students. Moreover, it's crucial that school boards remain balanced and collaborative, rather than becoming hyper-politicized or dominated by a few powerful voices. When boards are small or politically driven, the risk of student perspectives being disregarded grows even higher. Student representation brings accountability and reminds board members of the human impact behind every decision. Moving forward, I'm committed to advocating for the continued presence of student members on school boards. Our experience and insights matter, and the meaningful change we've created in my district proves just how impactful student voices can be. A truly representative school board, one that listens, collaborates, and values student input, is the key to ensuring our education system reflects the needs and the aspirations of all its students. Go ahead, Cashel.
Excellent, thank you.
All right. Transforming education will affect students more directly than any other group of people in Vermont. And they deserve a say in the future of public education, not only because their entire lived experiences are defined by it, but also because they know it best. But I've been thinking about things with a broader scope recently. As a member of my school board, I've been able to interact deeply with Vermont's public education system. And through that interaction and learning, I've really grown to care and value what we've built here. And I know that's not true for many thousands of students across Vermont. And with this sense of transformation and this movement towards a new system, I see an opportunity. And I see the opportunity to embed students in this process and allow them to interact with and learn from and value education the same way I have. And right now in this country, I think we're seeing the effects of the widespread distrust of institutions. One of the most important things that can be instilled early on in someone's life is the value of our public institutions. And by including students in this movement towards transformation, you're instilling the value of our public institutions in the next generation of Vermonters. You're encouraging them to always work towards a better future and not to trust institutions blindly, but to trust the promise of institutions and the benefits they bring, even when there's room for improvement.
Excellent, thank you so much. That's all of your prepared testimony, right? You're available for a few questions, or am I missing out on?
Yes, please, questions.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wait, so go.
We do have one. We were going to answer the one other question that you had asked of us, but we're happy to skip that one if you'd like.
Let's see if committee, just so we have time, because we also have to have some committee discussion. If committee members have questions, and then we'll circle back to it this time.
Okay, sounds good.
No question, but just a comment, as I've been sort of swimming in what we're doing. I just really appreciate you coming here and reminding us about some very important parts of what we're doing. And I think we need to remember to keep student voice right up there as we kind of come up with a system that frankly will make that probably a little more challenging as we go to bigger districts and smaller boards. And we need to find a way to keep it alive and keep it vibrant and keep it strongly part of the system.
Other questions for the students? Though I would point out, Zoe's coming from a system that's at about 4,000 students, sort of one of the kind of ideals we talk about in a future state, and it is alive and well, so I think it's certainly possible. Obviously, that's the biggest example we have in Vermont, but we can become a bit bigger and still be pretty deeply, authentically listening to student voice. I had a small question for you.
Despite having terrible internet at your.
Right, yes, Cashel.
Mhm.
Is your internship here flexible pathways? Like, is it a flexible pathways out through your school, the way your independent study through flexible pathways? Just again, as we think about all the things we create here and then what that means on the ground, just in terms of how you structured your internship here as a high school student.
Yeah, so that's what it turned into, but initially it was just me reaching out.
But what is your internship here?
I'm a legislative intern with Thomas Stevens from Waterbury.
Perfect.
You want to share with everyone the sort of second question I posed to you, and then go ahead and offer your feedback on that?
Yeah, so you asked us, the first question was to kind of share our individual opinions, and then the second question was just to remind us of the importance of authentic student voice. Do you want me to answer that one?
Take it away.
All right. Through this process, I've learned a simple but powerful truth. Students care deeply when they're given the knowledge and the platform to contribute. Time and time again, I've witnessed how informed and empowered students become when they understand the decisions that impact their education. When students see how policies and budgets shape their experiences, they don't respond with apathy. They respond with passion, insight, and genuine desire to create positive change. But the opportunity to engage doesn't happen by chance. It happens when students are intentionally invited into conversations, not as a symbolic gesture, but as a meaningful contributor. Student voice is not just a checkbox on a stakeholder list. It's an essential perspective that brings relevance and accountability to decisions that shape our schools. Without it, we risk making choices in a vacuum, detached from the realities of the very people those decisions affect. In my role as a student representative, I've seen firsthand how impactful authentic student input can be. By collaborating with district leaders, developing presentations, and facilitating discussions, I've worked to ensure that students are not only informed about budget decisions, but are empowered to make their voices and their perspectives heard. The responses from my peers, their curiosity, their concern, and their desire to understand the complexities of school funding reaffirm the importance of this work. Students care. They want to be a part of the process. They just need the chance. I challenge you as changemakers and leaders in our community to reflect on this. How can we ensure that students play a more active role in shaping the decisions that impact them? Not just as advisors, but as essential voices in the process, where their ideas are not only heard, but valued and acted upon. This means recognizing student perspectives as credible and necessary, creating intentional opportunities for dialogue, and fostering a culture where young people feel empowered to question, contribute, and advocate for their peers. True progress begins when student voices are not just included, but embedded into the foundation of decision-making. It happens when we move beyond performative listening and commit to a collaborative leadership. It means viewing students not as passive recipients of policies, but as active participants in creating the educational experiences they deserve. Because when students are a part of the process, the result is stronger, more inclusive, and one where every decision reflects the shared values and the aspirations of those it serves. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And if one of you could email, it looks like you have things pretty well organized and prepared there. If you could email your testimony to Annie, then she can post it and everyone has copies of it. And it would be wonderful for us to be able to come back to it. Yeah.
One of you, it may have been you, Cashel, who said you're on the AOE's youth.
Yep.
Could you talk a little bit about what that is and what it does and how often it needs that sort of stuff?
So I've already met once. And this was really an opportunity through Up for Learning, which is a statewide youth group. They bring together the students who are able to advocate for themselves and put them together. So the AOE used that resource, and I'm involved with that group, so that's why I was contacted. I think we'll be affecting language soon of the actual legislation, but right now we just got to run through by Jill Briggs Campbell, the Deputy Secretary. I'm not sure when our next meeting is.
How many students are on what is it? Give us the name of it again.
The Youth Policy Advisory Council.
Got it.
I'd say under 10 students.
Okay. From across the state.
Yeah.
Great.
Other questions or thoughts from the committee?
Gracie, did you want to share that last thing? Either the Harkness thing or the FTE part we talked about?
Sure. So when we were meeting as students trying to figure out what we wanted to bring to you today, we did have some ideas of how student voice could be more incorporated in the policy drafting process. And then also how students can play a more active role in bettering other districts if districts become consolidated. And so I prepared a little something to read that applies to all three of our schools, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. So in many proposed education bills that we've seen, the idea of making education standards more equitable and consistent between districts has come up time and time again. Students have the potential to play a vital role in expanding access and promoting opportunities to their neighboring districts and therefore increasing the quality and equitability of our public schools. A fitting example of this involved the implementation of a student-centered discussion-based teaching approach called Harkness. Historically, Harkness has been used primarily in private schools to teach both students how to converse effectively and engage deeper in their learning. In 2016, Hartwood Union High School began to implement Harkness into their class curriculum. This curriculum begins by teaching 9th grade students soft skills and then progresses into full class discussions about various topics. From there, students continue their high school classes practicing this conversation method, and by graduation, students are able to apply these skills to conversations surrounding difficult topics. After Harwood began implementing this discussion practice into their curriculum, CVU has followed suit and also offers Harkness teaching in many classes. This fall, a student group that I'm part of at South Burlington caught wind of this teaching style and has since been advocating for it to be implemented into curriculum at South Burlington. Last month, our group was welcomed into CVU and observed one Harkness discussion and participated in another. Now, in a few weeks, we'll be presenting to the entire SBHS teaching staff during a professional development day. Oh, I lost. Where are we? So we'll be presenting to the entire teaching staff during a professional development day about the Harkness pedagogy. Following this presentation, teachers will have the opportunity to speak with CVU students and teachers about their experience with Harkness. In Vermont, we are lucky that great opportunities such as Harkness are already abundant in many of our public schools. When we talk about setting consistent education standards, we have the opportunity to share these initiatives with other districts, which would directly uplift all students, both by providing new opportunities for some or empowering others with leadership roles when sharing about these programs.
Thank you. That's a really thoughtful, interesting kind of real world application of what some more consistency and opportunities might afford. And it has been interesting to see the kind of organic progression and movement of Harkness as a methodology and more student discussion in the classroom in Vermont, but perhaps a more streamlined system will allow that to be a little bit more cohesive around the state and maybe more implemented more quickly. So it's an awesome
Is
real
Harkness
world.
something that should be implemented in the legislature?
We probably harp this too much.
Pretty much all we do.
Or we could probably go back to some of the soft skills training parts of the beginning of Harkness. We might need to start there. We jump right to the discussion of hard stuff and maybe need to work on the soft skills pieces of it, but yes.
I love Harkness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
All right. Any final questions or thoughts? Thank you. It's a breath of fresh
Thank you
air
so
to
much.
hear students caring so
Thank
much of the
you.
time. You all just did this extra on your own, not as any of your official roles, truly caring and engaging. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
They know what the conversation is.
Thank you.
And it just